this album's wonderful, and that's the thing. Before we get into it, we've lived through quite a thing with COVID. How did you get through that time period, and how good does it feel to have new music, live shows, things coming back?
Well, it hasn't come back completely. It's not what it was before the pandemic, at least not for me. But I think that's the general consensus in the music community. Um, I certainly wouldn't have I wouldn't have survived without the help of friends, and I didn't ever have to ask. But I had some friends that knew we wouldn't have been able to survive with no income, and we have a 7-year-old who depends on us, and we made it through with the help of friends. We were able to play in Central Park a few days a week, and that didn't amount to much money, but it was nice to get together with some musicians and play. And of course, now we're able to do that inside, and it's not what it was. And a lot of people, especially people who are more at risk, have still not come out and don't want to come out. So I don't know when or if it'll come back. Things are very different here. Where are you? Kansas City?
Kansas City, yes.
Yeah. There's it feels very different. I live on Washington Square Park, and the park is very different. It came back almost with a vengeance in the park. People, live music, live noise, a lot of stuff that wasn't happening. That's not all good stuff in the park, and it was in a way it was a good break for me just to get some perspective and be able to see and to be able to appreciate how important it is to be around music and play good music. During the pandemic, as you may have read in the notes for the booklet, Mark Shane and Kevin Dorn, the two other musicians on the album, and I got together at Mark's place, which is upstate, about an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes. So, and I have a car, so I drove just to play. Mark has a basement music room, just to play a couple of times. We did a live stream from there. But it was really great after having not played with them for so many months, and having had played with both of them for, close to 25 years, and then not being able to play, it really made me appreciate how good it is and how good it is to play with musicians who swing the way they do.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing about this album. It swings. There's such a there's a communication on here that's undeniable. So how did you feel? How did this session feel? And how did you pick the tunes? How did all of it kind of artistically come together?
Well, um, as I said, we were playing together for many years, and during the pandemic, Mark and I came up with tunes that we wanted to jam on when we got together in his music room. So we had some tunes from those, and just other stuff. And Mark would write to me and say, "Oh, we have to play such and such. We have to do this," and I'd add it to the list, and then we'd meet up the next time, and he'd say, "Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that one." So it sometimes changed from day to day, but having both of us having played music for so many years, we have a lot of tunes in our repertoire that we like to play, and a lot of them are connected to our heroes who played them those many years ago in the 1920s, 30s, 40s. So, such as Mark is a real great fan of the pianist Earl Hines, and I love Jimmy Noon, and they worked together in Chicago in the late 1920s in a band called Jimmy Noon's Apex Club Orchestra. And so some of our material, like El Rado Shuffle, which is the name of one of the songs on the album, was played at the El Rado Club, where Jimmy Noon and Earl Hines actually Jimmy Noon played. I think Earl Hines had left by that point, but they played together, and they were at the forefront of the jazz age and the jazz revolution in the late 1920s, first in Chicago, and then it moved over to New York. So a lot of the stuff came from that. Also, needless to say, and undeniably, we all adore, worship, and emulate in our own individual way the Benny Goodman small bands, mostly the trio and the quartet. The sextet, which was later on, was more arranged riff tunes, but the Benny Goodman trio and quartet could take a pop tune, then just play it. If they had the sheet music, the publisher brought them the sheet music, and they just played the tune, and they swung on it without an arrangement. And a lot of what we call air checks, which are live broadcasts, which were recorded, preserved one way or another, and we can hear how they just took a pop tune and swung on it. And some of the songs that we play on the album come from air checks that the Benny Goodman Trio Quartet recorded. We didn't really do the more popular things, Avalon and After You've Gone. Those have been recorded for decades and played and overplayed. And we like to try to find to travel to take the road less traveled and find some of those little hidden gems that need to be rediscovered and heard and should have been more popular in their day. So the material on the album comes from those Benny Goodman stuff, from Jimmy Noon, Earl Hines. There was another character in that connected with Noon and Hines named Alex Hill, who was a composer and a bandleader for a short time and died, I think, in 1937. So he didn't live very long. But so Noon, Hines, Alex Hill, that's the one group of tunes that are the material on that album comes from. Delta Bound is from that, rather shuffle. And the title of the album is The Song in Our Soul, which is a variation of the first song, which is Keep a Song in Your Soul, written by Alex Hill. And it seemed to be thematic for me about what we did during the pandemic, trying to keep the music in our soul, even if it wasn't happening in our lives much.
So what are you hoping ultimately the listener gets from this album?
To be honest, not to be selfish or inconsiderate, but we weren't really thinking about that.
Sure.
We did this for ourselves. I've thought of March and Kevin as my desert island trio. If I had to be marooned on a desert island and I could take two musicians with me, I could, in theory, be happy for the rest of my life. And we just wanted to play some tunes. I have done albums where I thought about what would the people enjoy listening to? What songs will they recognize? There was none of that. It was a project for ourselves, coming out of a time when we didn't have this, and it was so nice to be able to get back together and play with them. What we all have in common, Kevin and Mark and I, is a real passion for not only the swing era, but the swing. And there are those who get it, and there are those who don't. And I think we all get it. We all understand each other. We all hear swing the same way. And when we play together, it's so easy. There are times when I walk off the job and I'm thinking, what was I thinking when I made the decision to become a professional musician? This is so hard. And there are other times, as when I walk off of a job or I've just been playing with Mark and Kevin, where it's so easy. I don't even have to think. The notes just flow out of me as if the muse is speaking, and I'm just the conduit. My instrument is playing itself, and I think that's the goal of all of us. We shouldn't be too introspective, too self-conscious. The music should just flow out of us, and that's what happens when I play with those guys. So we chose songs that would allow us to do that. We all liked, that we all could swing on, and we just went in the studio and had some fun with those. It was very easy. I guess the hard part was whittling down the tune selection, which started maybe with 75 songs, and we knew we had to end up with 11 or 12.
Yeah.
And how do we choose what to record? And then we recorded maybe 18 songs, and 11 of them ended up on the album. And then we had to decide, well, what do we cut? So maybe we'll do a volume 2 at some point and put those other ones on and add to them.
You know, the one thing about we're in the 20s obviously right now, but when we talk about the original 20s, a lot of this music that that you love and that is an influence on you, they were coming out of the Spanish flu. There was a celebration. Jazz was obviously the popular music. It was on the radio. It was in a different era. But I almost feel a little bit like right now there's a level of 20s that's going on. There's this coming out of this pandemic. There's this celebration. I find your album to be a part of that celebration with all of these releases that are coming out. Has that been anything that's kind of gone through your mind?
I mean, I guess it is. I don't know if we thought about it that way, but it's inevitable that the freedom to get together and play again. There's certainly parallels between what happened in the world in 1918 and 19 with the so-called Spanish flu, which, by the way, didn't originate in Spain, as people know, but
Right.
that's the name that's given to it. And a lot of people died. And here we are again. I can't know what it was like then. Certainly a different experience for all of us, having to wear masks and having to. I mean, I've always been somewhat of a germaphobe. I mean, even before the pandemic, I always carried a bottle of hand sanitizer with me. Now I'm especially conscious of that, of germs, and I have a license to be that way. And if I feel at risk, if I'm in a room with a lot of people, I feel I have a license to wear a mask without people being offended. Yeah. That didn't answer your question, but yeah, certainly there are parallels in between the epidemic a century ago and what we went through in 2020 and 21 and are still going through. Can't know what it was like back then, but it certainly felt great to play in Central Park and to get together with my two favorite musicians, the rhythm section of my dreams, Mark and Kevin, and just play on tunes and have it all flow out and feel easy and fun. And I wish it always felt that way. It always has with them. And I can't put it into words. All I know is that we're speaking the same language, we're on the same wavelength, we've listened to the same records. I think that's a big part of it. We're not replicating anything note for note, but we all have channeled our parallel counterparts in the Benny Goodman small groups. Kevin with Gene Krupa, and Mark with Teddy Wilson, and me with Benny, and we speak their language. When I hear Benny Goodman play, I understand what he's saying with his instrument in a way that I don't understand when I listen to other musicians. And I know that's true with Kevin and Mark and their respective counterparts. We're speaking the language and communicating with each other in that language, which is not often spoken these days.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are you doing for live music? How's the year ending up? How's the year going to begin? What's kind of on your radar?
Well, it's as I said, not back to what it used to be. And December used to be a month where I did a lot of Christmas parties, holiday parties. I've got a couple of them. I'm doing one this coming Monday, most Mondays, and I think two Tuesdays in December. I'm at Birdland with Vince Giordano and the Nighthawks, which is a band I played with for 30 years, specializing in big band jazz and dance music of the 1920s and 30s. Did all the Boardwalk Empire music, and we're in the new film Killers of the Flower Moon, Scorsese film. We're on the soundtrack of that, and so we're playing Mondays and some Tuesdays at Birdland, and we're at Birdland every Monday indefinitely for now. So I've got that and a few private events and some concerts here and there. This Saturday, there was we're doing with the Nighthawks, we're doing Garrison Keillor's Prairie Home Companion. It's an anniversary show. We haven't done it since he was on the air regularly. It's been probably almost 10 years, I think 2016 or something, but we used to do it fairly regularly at Town Hall here, the Town Hall here in Manhattan. And that's where we're doing it on Saturday. It's going to be great to get back with him. And he and Vince have a nice rapport, and our violinist Andy Stein played in the shoe band for many, many years. So we've got that coming up, and as usual, January and February are pretty empty. A few things here and there cover Mondays, but not much happens during those months. We all go into a forced hibernation. In the music industry, everything sort of builds up to right before Christmas, and then it just stops. I've got a New Year's Eve that I do every year with my wife, who's a vocalist, Molly Ryan, and that's at a seniors community in Hamden, Connecticut. We'll be there. So this and that. I have to look at my calendar every day because it's different. The only regular thing is that Monday at Birdland, and I've always enjoyed living that way. If I had to go into an office every day and do the same thing, or play a show where I'm doing the same thing every night, it would kill me. I enjoy the aspect of uncertainty.
Absolutely.
In the music industry.
Yeah. Well, Dan, it's great to catch up with you. Song in Our Soul is the brand new album. It's wonderful. I'm urging everyone to run out and grab this album. It's attractive. The audio is attractive. The cover is attractive. Everything's quality about this. So thank you very much. And if anyone wants to pick it up or learn more about live shows or whatever's going on, how can they do that?
Well, it's the label is Turtle Bay Records, so they can go to the Turtle Bay Records website and order it. It is on CD and vinyl and available for streaming. This is all relatively new to me. My first album was recorded when they were still making LPs, and it never came out on LP, never came out at all until last year. And only then because I made it happen. But I've always made CDs, and that's it. And it's very interesting now that after all these years, I finally have vinyl.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I'm looking over here at a huge shelf full of vinyl, and behind me, these are all 78s.
Yeah.
I was a record collector, so I appreciate vinyl and shellac and all this. It's very exciting. Also, the media that this is being released on. So CD and LP and vinyl and streaming, and it's all available from Turtle Bay Records. So go to the Turtle Bay site, find it, and download it, buy it, play it on your phonograph, on your Victrola, whatever. But enjoy it and let the swing envelop you, and I hope you can feel it the way we do, with that same passion and enjoyment and euphoria that comes with playing music with those guys.
Well, I'm going to continue to enjoy it myself. Dan, thank you so much, sir, for your time. Best of luck with everything. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Joe.
Thank you.